right, so welcome to another episode of the AI Powered Accountant. Today we have a special guest, Lance Rubin, and I've got Dmitry Lukin, my business partner, who's joining us as well. So welcome, Lance. Welcome, Dmitry. How's the morning?
Thanks, Shanil.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, good.
Lovely to be finally invited to this. I feel privileged.
I feel like I'm being pulled by two people, fighting over me. So for me, it's just great to talk to both of you, because I know there's a bit of a debate whose podcast. I'll just be on both of them. So yeah, great. Thanks for the invite, and always love chatting about tech and finance and financial modeling, and now the big topic of AI. So yeah, it should be a good one.
Awesome, mate. So Lance, just for our audience here, if you don't mind just briefly introducing yourself, a bit about who you are, your background, the business, your story, and your interest in AI.
Sure. Thanks, Shanil. So Lance Rubin, chartered accountant back in South Africa. You can probably tell from the accent. I spent 20 plus years in corporate across PwC, KPMG, National Australia Bank. I started my career as an auditor. Excel was everywhere and everywhere that I went, and it was my sort of superpower that I just continued to use and leverage and enhance. And I kind of didn't know what I didn't know at that stage. And as I got to develop, I also then went into Investec Bank in corporate finance in Australia and started to really go deeper in financial modeling. So about a decade ago, I decided to leave the corporate world, start my dream business. And of course, like both of you are founders, you know what that's like. You think you're going to have all this great journey and it's all going to be so easy. And of course it's not, right? And so you have to evolve and change and develop. And so through that time, my evolution has been quite dramatic, because I started 10 years ago, Model Citizen, which is a financial modeling consulting firm. We do training, we do model builds, we do everything on financial modeling except audit models. We may review them for best practice, but we don't provide model audit. And so the thing with me is I realized that financial modeling is only one part of the whole story. There's another whole data story. And so about 4.5 years ago, I started to upskill myself in Power BI, because I figured, well, if I want to actually understand data, that's not just a model and it's not just Excel, I've got to take some data skills. And so I started to develop Power BI skills, data visualization skills. I'm now a trainer and I teach Power BI. And we deliver Power BI as part of some of our projects as well. So I diversified quickly, not just in financial modeling, but also in data. And I guess AI was never really around that much. I mean, we always kind of was embedded in some of the things, but it wasn't as in your face as it is today. And so when AI came out, and I was always playing with technology in the financial modeling and data space, and I always knew that technology was an enabler to grow my business without growing the people. So although I didn't have a very much of an AI twist to it, it definitely was focused on how do I do more with less? How do I give my team the best tools to work with? And so we've used a number of different tools over the last 10 years. And about 2.5 years ago, we created our own software, Excel Cloud, which we use to push and pull data from Excel and Xero. And, I've done Xero cons, I've spoken at lots of conferences and workshops. And then AI came about, and I just realized this is really going to change things to a level that we just don't even know yet. Because, I guess for a long time, I've been at the cutting edge of financial modeling solutions and thinking. I didn't think AI could build financial models, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was on a global debate earlier this year. Financial modelers, there's actually on the Financial Modelers Corner podcast, there was a debate around, when do we think AI can build models? And I said within the next 5 years. And I actually think it's probably somewhere between 2 and 5. It's even a bit shorter, because there's some phenomenal tools out there. So I guess my mantra is helping businesses make relevant and informed decisions with relevance, importance, and purpose, right? You got to have that focus and purpose. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help people make better decisions, whether it's accountants, whether it's business owners. And that's kind of what we focus on. AI is now becoming a big part of what we do because it just helps me scale my time, from note takers to AI tools in Excel to AI tools on other platforms. And of course, I use 5 different LLMs and playing with those. So I think it's an exciting time for us, and kind of what we do is in consulting and how to help the accountants, because I think a lot of people look at the stuff and say, yeah, but I'm still stuck in Excel. I'm still doing these things, and none of this is actually going to help us. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's where we should probably, push in it a bit deeper.
Awesome, mate. Well, sounds like you are the AI-powered accountant.
Well, I know I'd like to think I am. To be honest, I wouldn't mind earning that title, but I think I have to prove it first. And I think it's important because it's such a really difficult term to put your finger on exactly what does that actually mean, right? And so I was thinking about that, you know, earlier through our various discussions around what does that actually mean to be an AI-powered accountant? Is it just because I'm using ChatGPT, I'm an AI-powered accountant? No, right? You can't just be using one tool. And it's not just actually using the tool, it's actually understanding the technology, right? AI powered means that you are AI enabled. It means that you are really understanding what is it going to do? What is it not going to do? What are the risks around it? Accounting is a very, very high trust service. And, you have to put that lens over it. It's no different to any other technology. So if I don't trust the tech, I don't use it. That's it. So a lot. I've been shown so many different technologies, and most of them I don't use because it just doesn't help me in what I want to do. So if you had to ask me what would I define as an AI powered accountant, I think there are 6 key elements to that, and I was thinking about this really, really deeply because I think it's important that we define that so that we can enable people to go towards that place. Because you know if you are AI enabled or and AI powered, then I think that is a great place to be, because you have got the smarts, you've got the efficiency, and you can really leverage the tech. So I might start with my number one component, and that's Excel. I'm sorry if you're AI powered and you don't know how to use Excel well. So lots of people call Excel is dead, and all this sort of rhetoric. And I think whether we like it or not, Excel is the best tool for an accountant, bar none. Right? Why? Because it's flexible, it's dynamic, you can code in it. I don't have to have experts, and I can do everything in it. And ultimately, I've built snakes and ladders board games in Excel. I've, done lots of things that people wouldn't even know exists. And of course, building really, really complex models. So I think if you are AI powered, where you're doing a lot of your work as an accountant, you are doing it in Excel. So, but if you don't understand how to use Excel, then how are you going to leverage AI within Excel, or AI combined with Excel? So understanding how Excel works and how it doesn't with AI is important. So, but you have to have a base knowledge. If I don't even know what Power Query is, then why am I even going into AI if I'm not even using Power Query, which is an automation tool? So I think that's an important part. It's understanding Excel. The next part is understanding process and data. Whether you like it or not, AI is data hungry. It is data driven. Everyone can say, oh, well, it's amazing. It just has these answers. How does it know that? Well, it's all because of the data. It's all because of the LLM. It's all because of the information that's built in these large language models. But I need to understand the process. How does it get it? What does it do? How do we avoid hallucination? Because, one of the things people will say is like, oh, I'm not going to use because it makes up stuff. Well, if you don't understand the data that's going in, that's feeding it, then yes, there is a high risk. So you actually have to understand the process that AI is taking, but also just the general process. Have a process mindset and a data mindset. If you don't understand data, if you don't know what an ETL is, you don't know what a data model is, you don't know what a relational database is, you don't know what VBA, MScript, lambdas, dynamic arrays, if any of that I've just mentioned is gobbledygook to you, then you haven't met the first 2 parts of what I was just saying. Lambdas, dynamic arrays, VBA, understanding all these different coding languages within Excel and outside Excel for data is critical. So those are the two I'd say are probably foundational. Before you even start being AI powered, you have to understand the tools that you're using to then overlay AI. The next one I'd say is technology nous, right? Do you have the ability to assess technology, understand it, apply it as well? So, you to be AI powered, you've got to be able to assess technology. You got to sniff out something that's not right. You've got to have that gut feel, like, is this right? But how do I actually go about in a process of assessing a tool? When I first started my business, I started to look at all these other forecasting and planning tools on the market. And then there's truckload. You just go to the Xero app store and you can look at all of them. And I started to say, well, how do I know if I go to a client and I'm using Tool X, which we used to use and we no longer use. So Tool X was our go-to, and everyone's saying, oh, well, we use Tool Y. So I'm like, okay, yeah, but our Tool X does A, B, C, and D, and your tool does A and B, and everything else you need to go back to Excel to. So you can't really match that. So what am I trying to deliver as a service? What am I trying to do? And does the technology help me in that process, or does the technology hinder me? So being able to assess that really, really quickly and easily is important, because otherwise I'm going to waste time, I'm going to waste money. I might even blow relationships, blow trust. And the last thing you want as an accountant is to disrupt your relationships, your trust, and the process. And of course, not waste money on tech that doesn't work. So that's important. Your ability to assess technology, which again goes back to understanding, process and data to some degree. I think there's a fourth component, which is the AI foundations, right? So I think you need to understand the difference between an LLM. How do these things work? What are tokens? What is sandboxing? How does data flow? You don't need to be an AI programmer, but you need to understand the lingo. You need to understand some of the fundamentals of AI, and why does it work and how does it not work? And why is AI always so friendly? Why is it always giving me the answers that I want to hear, right? If you don't understand the way that it's worked, it's programmed to do that, right? AI is programmed to make its user feel good, right? It's programmed to give you the answers. It's not programmed to tell you necessarily the truth, right? It's there to tell you the answer that it thinks is the truth, not is actually truth, or actually doesn't understand bias. So there's lots of things, there's lots of quirks in AI. And if you don't understand that, then I guess that's another part. So those are probably what I'd say is the 4 technical skills, right? In terms of AI. Out of the 6, those are the 4 key technical skills in terms of being an AI-powered accountant. Have to understand foundations and fundamentals of AI and the terminology. Have to understand technology broadly. And I'm saying technology in terms of all these different tools, because all these tools are going to start having AI in them anyway. So, to be AI powered, I need to understand, okay, this is a tool that does X, Y, Z, but what's the AI component of that? The process and the data and Excel, right? The other 2 that I'm going to mention are left field. And I think the reason they are is because they are not technical. They are more emotional. They are more thinking. This one is a big one for me, and it's called growth mindset. I don't think you become a truly AI-powered accountant unless you have a growth mindset approach to the way that you do your work, the way you apply your growth mindset to looking at these tools, the way you say, oh, it doesn't work in this way, oh, it's terrible, go and move on, right? How do you find failure as a way of learning, right? That's a very big part of the growth mindset. Failure is really up to you to take that opportunity to learn, not failure is I'm terrible. And so I think having that growth mindset is critical to become AI powered, because AI is not perfect. AI cannot build me a really robust model. It can't. It's doing a better job than, what most people can do today, but it's still not perfect as an expert financial modeler. It's still got a way to go. The last one is human friendly, right? So to be AI powered, you have to be human friendly. And why do I say that, right? Because I was thinking, okay, if you're an AI powered accountant, what does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to, wake up, I send my LLM a couple of messages, prepare my management pack, I'm going to a meeting, right? If all I ever do as an accountant is all those other technical things, and I've never had customer conversations, I've never had difficult conversations, I've never thought about things strategically, I've never thought about how do I embrace, how do I have empathy, how do I have all these other soft skills. Well, if you don't have those and you're suddenly going on the journey of an AI powered account, you're going to find out you're going to run out of runway, right? You say, well, what's left for me to do? And so therefore, to be an AI powered accountant, you actually have to be human friendly. I have to build relationships, build trust, be a great storyteller, be a great influencer. I think these are an important part of being an AI powered accountant. Because if you're not, then what's going to stop your client actually, or when it's client, I refer to internal or external, because you obviously have internal clients and stakeholders. What's going to say to them, well, hang on, what you've just delivered for me, I can get AI to do. So why would I need you? Why do I need you? And so if you're going to go on that dark, I won't say dark road, but I think if you don't have the skills, it's probably a dark road. But if you've got some of those variable skills and you've got the ability to embrace and build deeper, stronger relationships with other humans, then I think you can really call yourself AI powered because you're AI enabled. You're actually being able to build those stronger relationships, connect with people, influence, train. A big part of what I do is training, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy training people because it enables me to impart my knowledge and have those human to human relationships. Anyway, that's a
I
big
think
rant,
it's
and I hope happy to be challenged if I've missed one or if there's something else. But I think that pretty much covers it.
I think a really interesting point you made there, right? In this world of technology now, of technology and AI, having those human skills are probably more important than ever, right? And as an accountant, we saw the industry change from being number crunchers to compliance people to more business partnering, right? I saw that change in the last 10 or 15 years where, as an accountant, the ability to business partner, build relationships and, make your numbers talk was more important. And that was a transition into that human friendly or human first approach you're talking about. And now going into this next sort of era of technology with AI coming on board, that is even more prevalent, where it is extremely important that you can, uplift the human-centric values and human-centric skills as an accountant, where AI will come and in some capacity do all of those transactional work, that bottom part of your capability or your scope. AI will start doing that. So I think that's really important to sort of mention. So I think, Lance, what you're saying is, the foundational bit's important. You need to understand Excel and data as a starter. Then, the next transition is, hey, you need to understand technology as a generalist, understand how technology works so you can do your own research, understand the foundations of how AI works and when it would hallucinate and why it would just want to answer all your questions and make you happy. So you can challenge it, right, with different prompts.
Correct.
And challenge
Yeah.
the data. And, I really love those last two things you mentioned around the growth mindset, as business owners and as finance leaders. That's so important, right? Having that mindset to grow. And this is a large part of it. And then the last bit was, you need to enhance those human skills as an accountant.
Something that stuck out for me as well is, I think something I've seen across like every industry is there's kind of this intersection around once it gets to the technicians, the people that are actually doing the work, and them making that, I guess, conscious decision to lean in where that trust is actually earned. So I'm just interested, if we're kind of talking about what an AI powered accountant is, like, in your experience, Lance, like what was the moment where you were just like, oh, this is a thing? When did you kind of get that dopamine hit, as we call it? We're like, oh wow, this is going to change the industry. Was it a specific tool, or where? Would be interested to know that, because I know there's a lot of people that are just on the fence or still skeptical or still not sure. But what was it for you?
I think that look, when ChatGPT first came out, I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, you can chat and all the rest, but like, I didn't kind of connect the dots. Because and actually, I saw Sam Altman release some stats around ChatGPT and the use cases, and most of it is kind of more personal, a little bit of business, but not a lot. I think the dopamine hit came when I started to use Anthropic, right? That was kind of the big boost, and I'm like, okay, this thing can write VBA code for me. I can give me instructions on how to put that into Excel. It actually works, or I can prompt it to say it doesn't work in this way. Please change it. It can write technical accounting papers for me. Like I don't have to go and research accounting standards. A very big part of when I spent time at PwC was in doing technical accounting. And actually, for a brief moment in my career, I found it so, and I know this sounds sad, but I am on an accounting podcast to some degree, so maybe the listeners will resonate. But I actually really enjoy doing technical accounting work, like really complex IFRS 9 financial instruments, technical accounting work, which is like pulling apart a problem, understanding the fact pattern, understanding the elements that meet certain criteria based on the standard, and then applying that, and then actually making a judgment on that in the end. Now, writing a technical accounting paper on something like financial instruments, before there was IFRS 9, there was other standards, because it's been rewritten a few times, was really challenging, was really difficult, because you really actually have to understand. You actually have to understand deeply the accounting concepts, but you also have to understand the business. You actually have to understand the context that you were in. And, I had this challenge, and I thought, I just don't have the time to go and do all that stuff. I mean, I'm preparing for an audit, and I need to prepare this accounting paper on this treatment. So I'm going to give it a go. So I gave Anthropic a prompt, and I said, hey, I've got this technical issue. I'm preparing for an audit. Can you prepare the technical accounting paper that's going to be audited? Prepare for that, have it in the right professional way, make references to the accounting standard, and this is what I want you to do. Bang, and it went. And it's just like, not only did it do it fast in front of my eyes, and I could see it, which is kind of that, oh wow, okay, how does it do that? Like, it's just like at that moment I was like, hang on, what? It's gone and read the accounting standard, and it's gone and pulled those two together, and it's writing it in the space of me like taking a breath. It's just so that for me, Dmitry, that was the moment that I realized. For me, Anthropic is probably the LLM that I would use most as an accountant in terms of technical work, Excel work, VBA work, and the like.
I think that's a great segue to my next question, which is around tooling. Like, you want to sort of maybe run through, you said you use 5 LLMs. There's a whole bunch of other tools that you're using within your